TaskForge started like a normal Laravel application on Windows. Then I started adding background jobs, Horizon, Redis, and real-time infrastructure. Adding all of this made the application to outgrow the Windows development environment, needing me to look for a new environment to sustain the entire application with all this infrastructure built right into it. So last time I said the notification contracts existed, but the delivery didn't. This is the delivery actually getting built and it dragged the entire development environment with it. So you've built the application and it's all working. So why do you even need queues at all in your system? So in order for anything to be in a queue in the application, I need to be able to answer if the user needs to wait for this event to happen. If the user doesn't need to wait, then it shouldn't belong in the queue. So some work should happen during the HTTP request, but some like the emails, notification, and activity log shouldn't happen when the HTTP request is running. So the user performs an action, Laravel handles the important part, the response returns, and the background jobs does the rest of the work. We now know why we need quiz in the system, and there are two engines you can use for running your quiz. You can use your database, MySQL, or you could use Redis. If using MySQL, you will need to have your database storing persistent data and your database at the same time running heavy queue work. But on the other hand, if you use Redis, it is not just faster in handling all of this. Redis allows you to separate the persistent data being stored in your database from the infrastructure concerns in quiz. And right here in TaskForge, so I got the email and I got the role, just send invitation. And the invitation has been sent. Now to check the terminal and see that this email has been queued into Redis and ready to be picked up by Horizon workers. So right here in my terminal, I have this log here from Redis saying the background saving terminated with a success, meaning the background jobs which I have done have been saved into it successfully. Now to check in Horizon that it has been picked up. So Horizon right here picked up the job and was running the job, but the invitation email job failed. But that of the activity log, it ran it and it was a success. So we got Redis holding the work, but why do we even need Horizon in the system? Well, Redis, yes, indeed, it holds the work, but Horizon will manage the people that are actually doing the work. So here's my Horizon dashboard for TaskForge, and here we can have an overview of all the jobs that have been through the system. Here we have failed jobs in past 7 days, and there's 2. Well, there's supposed to be 1 here, but I retried the email job which failed earlier on, but I forgot to hit record on this take. So let's check the failed jobs again. So failed jobs, we have both of them. This was the first one we saw in the terminal, and Horizon already retried this job and it still failed. So let's retry the job one more time and see if it works. If it doesn't work, it means there's a problem with my email that I need to have a look at. Oh, there's another entry, meaning the job still failed. And if we get into the details of it, you can check the error. You can check the error log, the exception, and from here you can go and correct the error and get everything back and running. So basically, Horizon just allows you monitors jobs, schedule workers who work off the jobs. If there's any failed jobs, you can check, see why it failed, retry it, and that's it. So once all these Redis, Horizon, workers, and scheduler all became part of the system, the environment started to fall apart. So the real reason the environment had to change wasn't really because Docker is cool and I had to containerize everything. No, the real reason it had to change was because there were too many moving parts in the system managed in too many different places on Windows. So the fix was bringing WSL from a real Linux environment and Docker for services that needed one, like the application itself, Redis, Horizon, and the scheduler. But despite all that, there's still one thing that didn't get into Docker, and that was MySQL, and that was the database. So MySQL was the only thing I excluded from migrating everything into a Docker container. It was left out, and I'm using DBngin on Windows to run it. So right here in Docker, these are all the containers I have running in my TaskForge image. I have Redis, I have Horizon, App, Scheduler, and Reverb. No database here, as I said. I have the database running locally on Windows using DBngin, and every other thing else is inside a Docker container. So here's a quick recap on what the current architecture is right now. So persistent data goes to MySQL, infrastructure work goes to Redis, Horizon manages that work, background jobs run without blocking anyone, and everybody is good. So the engineering mistake of the week was that I treated the queue Java like a config choice, but it turned out to be an environment decision. And swapping to Redis didn't just change one line, it changed what running TaskForge locally really means. Now I'm wondering if you ever made the decision of editing a single file or a single line of code, and it turns out that that decision you made meant changing at least 50% of your entire application. Let me know down below in the comments. So quiz are built and all sorted right now, but TaskForce still can't tell anyone anything the instant it happens. Everything waits for a manual refresh on the browser, and that's where Reverb comes in. And it's what we'll be looking at in the next episode.